So good. I love coffee. Featuring my favorite cup ever. The horrors persist, yet I inch on. It's March 23rd, and I'm finally making my first knitting podcast. That's the kind of year that I've been having. My name is Savannah, and I'm just a regular person that loves fiber arts. I love to knit, crochet. I don't really have like a great introduction, truly, besides I'm just a regular person that loves to craft, mostly with fiber arts, and that's my whole vibe. Okay, let's get into it. I did try to record 2 knitting podcasts in like January, I think. And then a bunch of stuff happened. My best friend broke her arm. My daughter had her appendix taken out. There's been just like a lot of things, but we're doing it now. And now you get the highlights of the last 3 months. So I feel like that's a pretty good compromise. I am historically a gift knitter more than I am a self knitter. So some of the things I don't have, and I'll just put pictures up when I can. Let's get into it. The first 2 projects of the year were Sailor Slippers by Annie Sews. I'm a Sailor Slipper lover. I've made 5 pairs now. And my birthday's coming up next month, and I actually would really like to make a pair for myself. Like I said, I have a problem with gift knitting. Most of the things I make are gift knits. I'm usually the last one. I don't know why. I'm trying to change that this year. That's like one of my goals, is to knit more for myself. In any case, I'm doing like a cabin retreat for my birthday, and I would love to have a pair of Sailor Slippers to have at the cabin for myself. So that's my goal in the next 3 weeks-ish, is to knit myself a pair of Sailor Slippers. I used Lion Brand Woolies. Nope. Lion Brand. Is it Woolies? Let me look. Yeah, okay. I was right. Trust yourself. The yarn I used for the Sailor Slippers, for all of them, was Lion Brand Woolies Roving. I got it at Michael's. It's not like very expensive, I don't think, especially with like if you can get it on clearance or if they're having a sale, obviously. But like, I've never ordered yarn online before. I'm gonna be so for real. So I just thought it was an accessible option for people that can't wait for online orders or don't want to or whatever. Do I remember the price? No. But it definitely was less than $10 per, I mean, each skein was massive. So you only had to buy, if you're making the Sailor Slippers and you're trying to, I don't know, do it on a budget or something, you get it. You technically would only need to buy 3 colors. 1 for the sole, and then 2 for the stripes, and then you can use one of those colors for the I-cord edge around the slipper as well. I know in a lot of the examples it's a totally different color for the I-cord edge, but it's a really small amount of yarn, so you don't have to make it a crazy different color if you don't want to. If you're making multiple Sailor Slippers, then by all means, like, buy whatever you want. But in fact, one of the more recent projects, I made a pair of Sailor Slippers for my dad. He saw my husband's Sailor Slippers and my daughter's, and he really wanted some, so he went out and bought the yarn himself, which is like a big deal. I'm really impressed. He took it really seriously, and it was really collaborative. He bought exactly the right yarn. Anyway, so he bought 3 colors, and I think it was on clearance too or something. Why did I bring that up to you? I don't exactly, oh, and maybe this is what I was gonna say. I think my dad is 6'3". He wears like a size 13 shoe. So I either made the biggest size or the second to biggest size Sailor Slipper. I can't totally remember. And I have yarn left over in each of the 3 skeins that he bought for his slippers. I have yarn left over. I don't think I'd be able to get like another pair out of just those 3 colors, but they are a significant amount. That was another reason why I thought it was very affordable, is because you can definitely make a pair of sailor slippers, maybe 2, depending on which colors, how you rotate it, with just 1 skein of each color. There is so much yarn in these skeins. I don't know if I have a label anymore, actually, unfortunately. After this, editing me, find a label or Google it and put how much yardage is in 1 skein of this yarn, because I truly thought it was like so impressive. I recently saw a video about talking about sailor slippers and like if they're worth the hype or not, and I just want to say, yeah, I think they are. I'm a fan. The sailor slippers was the first knitting pattern I ever purchased, like spent money on. I was blown away by how clear the pattern was. It was so easy to follow. I loved how it was set up. It was very professional looking. You could tell a lot of thought went into this pattern. Lots of different examples, color palette examples for the sailor slippers, different sizes, whatever. And it's really easy. Plus, my favorite kind of crafting is the kind that replaces something functional in your home. We never need to buy slippers again. Especially in this day and age where things are just getting cheaper and cheaper, like more cheaply made and also more expensive. The quality of things is really going down. I love that I bought the pattern, I have the pattern, I can now make slippers for the rest of my life. And I never have to buy slippers again. I love them. I just wanted to say, I love the sailor slippers. Okay, I'm a fan. Now, let's move on. And then I made the Moots beanie by Nimble Needles. And this was my first time using Cascade 220 Superwash. I have a local yarn store, like a fancy yarn store, not like a big box commercial yarn store that sells Cascade 220. So this was my first time. I specifically bought it for this pattern. I don't remember why, but I hear about it a lot on knitting podcasts, Cascade 220. So I wanted to make my brother a navy blue beanie because that's what he requested for his birthday. Since then, I've made 3 of these Moots beanies by Nimble Needles. It's just a really basic knit one, purl one. It's free pattern on Ravelry. It's a link that takes you to their blog or something like that. Oh, and the blog post talks to you about sizing and gauge and like how to find a size that works best for you specifically or whoever you're making it for. They really like walk you through kind of how to like self-draft it for yourself, like all the things that you need to know. I really appreciated that. And because of the blog and also I did some math, now I have it solidly figured out, a classic, almost like a vanilla sock. I have like a vanilla beanie pattern and I really love it. I get headaches a lot, so I don't like tight beanies. I actually can't wear store-bought beanies because they're always too tight. They always give me headaches. And then also my husband just has like a big head, so he can't wear store-bought beanies either. So this is revolutionary. Now we can share hats, share beanies. He has a big head and I get headaches, and so we just get to share beanies. It's perfect. Anyways, this is my vanilla beanie pattern using Cascade 220. I've made a navy blue one and then like a forest green one. These aren't the official color names. I forgot to look. This is just like the colors, you know what I mean? And then I recently made a 3rd one. I'll show you that in a second. So Cascade 220 Superwash, which is 100 grams or 220 yards, which I think is why it's called Cascade 220, I'm guessing, but I think that's cute. Anyways, cast on 144 stitches, which is the 2nd to largest size on the blog post. I don't remember why I went with that one. It just was like a vibe. Knit one, purl one for 22 centimeters or until there's 8 to 10 grams of yarn left, and then start the decreases, and then it will perfectly use up 1 ball of Cascade 220, which is like a dream come true. And that's the math part that I was talking about, figuring out the starting weight of yarn and then doing a row and weighing the yarn again, and then dividing that difference by how many number of stitches there are to figure out how much each stitch weighs in yarn, and then looking at the decreases and adding up every stitch count, like per row, multiplying that by the weight of one stitch so that I would know how much yarn to leave for the decreases at the end. I feel like the decreases take up like 6 grams of yarn or something like that. So by leaving 8 to 10-ish, you have plenty. It's kind of like a foolproof way of knowing when to stop just doing knit one, purl one, and when to start the decreases, and knowing that you will use up as much yarn as you can without running out. I really like that. I finished this last night, just like down to a science now. It's my vanilla beanie pattern. It's this beautiful, like heathered kind of spring green. It's looking like a weird color on camera, actually. The farther back I hold it, the truer the color gets, but I'll put a picture up. The decreases are really simple. They're just knit 2 togethers in like various places. I know there's a lot of patterns with obvious decreases, like as a design choice. Either they kind of like, they do like a spiral decrease, or like, there's lots of decrease options. But the fact that they're obvious as in a design choice, and this one wasn't. And I just kind of like that. It's a really like basic plain beanie. So I'm a big fan. And actually, I have purchased one for myself. Let me get that. I'm sure I'm not very good at this yet, but we're figuring it out. This is all of my scraps for the green Moots beanie, which is in the color number 905. I looked it up. Celery is the name of that. Adorable. Okay. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to say was that this beanie is a custom order. Someone I worked with a long time ago reached out to me on Instagram and asked if they could purchase a custom beanie from me. And they picked like just any pastel spring color, which is why I went with this one, because I'm very partial to like a marled heather yarn. I just thought it'd be fun. And it was the only ball they had, so it felt like fate. I turned down quite a lot. Not a lot, a handful. I've turned down a handful of custom orders this year, and she just caught me on a good day. I don't know why I said yes to her in particular, but I was like, all right, I'll do it. So I have to mail that. And then future plans, I don't know. See, this is what irritates me about Cascade 220 is that they don't have the color names on the labels. You're gonna make me Google it. Oh, you're gonna make me Google it? This color name, the closer I get, the weirder the yarns look. But anyways, this color name is Iridescence. Ooh, it's like a, I'm not sure that there's a nice way, I'll put a picture. But it's like a taupe, purpley, there's some like lighter, I don't know, I'm not sure I could describe this. There's some yellow, there's some pink, it's like very beautiful. So, like I said, I'm partial to a mauve, so I've made the blue beanie for my brother and a green beanie for my husband. And then I bought this one to make one for myself. Haven't gotten around to it. Theme, there's a theme for you. Then I made the green one as a custom. So this is next. I would like to knit myself a beanie instead of just stealing my husband's all the time. So anyways, Iridescence is coming next. That's something I hope to cast on soon. I think that's enough about the beanies. I need to actually kind of hurry it up a little. Okay, then I'm going to talk about, this is so random. This is so random, but on Ravelry, there's a free pattern called Santa's Gift Bag or something like that by Premier Yarns. And I did make that pattern for my mother-in-law for Christmas. It's like a little knit bag that looks like a Santa. I'll put a picture. Why am I describing it? Love the pattern. And I thought it was very adaptable. So I made a birthday version. I had this yarn in stash. I think it's a Karen Chunky Cake. It was gifted to me by my parents who were cleaning out their craft room. It's so cute. It's like confetti. So you can put whatever you want in here. I'll put the hat. This one's really big. I sewed a button onto it. This was also a stash button, so you can button it. So if it's really full, you can just button it. If it's like not that full, I've rolled it before. And then I made this fabric, not very well, not gonna lie. And then I only sewed it down right here at the bottom so it wouldn't mess with the stretch of the fabric. Ta-da! It's a little gift bag. I really like this functionally. I really like this. It's come in handy several times already. I finished this in like January. I would like to make more of these. I'm like environmentally conscious, self-conscious. I try to make realistic swaps where I can. And Christmas and the holidays and tissue paper and gift bags and wrapping paper, I've been thinking about it for a couple of years, just how like wasteful it is. I'm not sure when/if I'll get to a point where I'll have enough of these to completely swap and not use disposable wrapping paper anymore. Let me just say that we do have plenty of gift bags that get reused. I've never thrown a gift bag away in my life. But the thing I didn't like about gift bags was that I save tissue paper too, let me just say. Like, I'm not buying gift bags ever. They just accumulate. But tissue paper, they all have like life cycles. And I just thought this one's life cycle looks, with nothing in it and with not tying it very tightly, it looks kind of silly. But anyways, I just thought this life cycle would be longer than paper. I don't know. We could talk all day about the environmental impacts of yarn versus paper. But I don't want to because I already owned this yarn. It was gifted to me. So we can talk about it when I have to buy yarn for this or something. In the meantime, love this. So yeah, I want to make more of these. I like that you don't need tissue paper for this gift bag. It's like gift bag / wrapping paper. Anyways, this is really easy. And if you are interested in making something similar to this, you should look up the pattern, or really you knit garter stitch back and forth on the bottom, however wide you want it, and then however long you want it. And then on the last row, you pick up all the way around the rectangle, and then you start knitting stockinette in the round for however tall you want it. And that's it. And then if you want to, towards the top, you can make one buttonhole, like a yarn over, knit two together, or whatever that is. And then you just bind off in pattern. Really easy. I added the strap. On the original pattern, it has buttonholes equally spaced all around the top, and then you're supposed to make like a separate I-cord, like string, and string it through and cinch it. I will not be doing that. I have no desire to make a long I-cord ribbon. Not my vibe. However, I do want to make a smaller one of these and maybe a actual just ribbon that I have in my stash, or thinner fabric ribbon. And I do like the idea of like cinching the bag, so I'll probably do that. But I just won't be I-cording it. There's no way in hell. Okay, that's this. Okay, moving on. Gotta speed it up. After I made that birthday gift bag, I cast on for some socks, and I just finished these socks a couple days ago. I don't know when I cast these on, but it was probably end of January, beginning of February, and now we're almost at the end of March. This is my finished pair of socks. I went to my local yarn store and purchased this book, The Sock Project by Summer Lee, so that I could learn how to knit socks. I've knit one other pair of socks before, and it was It did not go that well for me. They turned out to be 2 different sizes. That's okay. So then I bought the book and decided to try 9-inch circulars and also the Afterthought heel. So that's what these are. This was supposed to be kind of like a side view, like a regular sock. I don't have sock blockers. I haven't blocked these. I'm really not like pressed to block them. I don't really care. So this is Patton's Croy sock yarn. The main color is gray brown marl. It's a self-striping yarn. And the contrast color is called Gentry Gray. I really like the Afterthought heel. I like that it's an afterthought. Unfortunately, the mistake, so these were supposed to be for my husband. The mistake that I made was not considering where I marked to cut the yarn was like where the back of the heel was, instead of taking into account that this adds length. The heel adds length to the sock. So I should have moved the stitch marker where to cut this much in. So they are too big for my husband. I think they will probably turn out to be a Christmas gift for my dad, since his feet are bigger. That's the biggest pair of feet I know. And I know he would really like these. So, but I do like the Afterthought heel. I thought it was fun. It makes it really easy because you cast on the cuff. Oh, these are also 80 stitches. That's too much. So now I can use these to measure my gauge and probably cast on, I don't know, 72 for my husband. That's too much for me still. I don't know. It kind of turns out that a sock that is a little bit tight, I think, is better than a sock that is too loose. I don't know. This is my process, and I knew it was going to be a process, so I'm not like upset about it. I knew it was going to take lots of trial and error to figure out my vanilla sock pattern, or even like my husband's vanilla sock pattern. I also want to make socks for my daughter. Like, I have a gift knitting problem, but I knew it was going to take some trial and error, and it has. These are too big. That's okay. These will be saved for a gift knit. I do really like the yarn, and so does my husband. So hopefully I'll successfully make him a pair of socks with this yarn that he really likes. Now that I've finished that pair of socks, I can cast on another pair of socks. I would like to have socks on the go at all times. I think that would be really nice. Just saying. I'm going to cast these on next, which I love this colorway. This is Patton's Croy Clover Colors, I believe. Yeah, Clover Colors. The thing is, no two skeins are alike. I have 2 more that are also vastly different from these. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna try to make it work. My husband wants contrast. These are gonna be for my husband again. He wants contrast heel, toe, and cuff again. But I do have kind of a smaller sock yarn stash, but we settled on this. Now, what is this? I can't remember. I know it's fancy. I do have the yarn label behind me in a little cubby, so I'll put it on the screen. I can't really explain it, but I think it'll be fine. I don't know. Obviously, I want to make socks out of this. I think just doing heel, toe, cuff will be fine, and I'll still get to make some type of sock out of this yarn. This is like really warm autumn colors. It's mostly red and orange, but it does have some brown and green, dark green and light green. I wonder if it's striping. I don't even know. I doubt it. I think the color changes happen too fast for it to be self-striping. But anyways, I really like this yarn. I think it's beautiful. I'm excited to use it. And the copper clover, what is it called? Clover colors. Yeah, on the outside here, it seems to be like bright green and red. So it has green, like a spring green. It has teal, it has red and orange. Because even if I peel it open, but the inside of this is teal and orange. There's just so many different colors. This one is more red and green on the outside. The inside again is like teal, orange, and green. Anyways, I have no idea how these are going to work up. I'm not sure if I should stripe them or just let it rock because both socks will be different. It doesn't matter. This is my next sock project I'm going to cast on. I'll let you know how it goes. I am excited to see how these turn out. I have 2 more of these clover colors that look different to these as well. There's not a lot of consistency with Patons Croix. I want socks in this as well, so we'll see. I'll probably, for mine though, I think I would do a teal contrast color because there is teal in this. But I think that would be really cute. So that's how we'll tell the difference between his socks and my socks. I told you these allergies are like killing me. My next finished object is a huge deal. It's my first ever adult size knitted sweater / garment. I have made a sweater vest and a sweater for my daughter before, for Christmas actually. I just learned how to knit last year. So in February, I affectionately call it my February sweater because I knit it in February. It was a gift knit. I'm psychotic. Something's wrong with me to gift knit a full-size sweater. But I have a picture. That's the other psychotic thing is I loved it. It looks so good. It was for my best friend. I'm in her wedding party. And that's the best friend that broke her arm. So when she got her cast off, I gifted her the sweater to show my appreciation for including me in her wedding party and also to boost her spirits and celebrate the fact that she could wear sweaters again because she got her cast off. I mean, I started it before she broke her arm, but it just kind of worked out. Anyways, gorgeous. The pattern I used was Richie by Atelier Emily, and I used Juniper Moon Farms Harris Tweed in the color Bristol, which is this yarn. I bought 7. I have 6, or I used 5.5, so I have 1.5 balls left. It's 100% recycled yarn, so it has like wool and I'll just read. It's in my hands. Wool, polyacrylic, polyester, silk, and other fibers. So it's 30% recycled wool. Interesting yarn, okay? Interesting. I wouldn't say I loved it. In fact, it was kind of irritating to work with. It feels a little bit like dryer lint, I'm not gonna lie. It's very thick and thin because of all the different fibers. Really grippy, really grippy. It was my first time learning how to do Italian bind off, and grippy, thick and thin yarn kind of made that like hell. I really hated it. But I love the finished garment. And I have a ball and a half left of this. And I love tweed, sucker for tweed. And it comes in so many cute colors. So many cute colors. So I think when I've recovered emotionally, I'll probably buy a sweater's quantity of this. Also, it's kind of expensive. It's $17 per, is this 50 grams or 100? 100 grams. $17 for 100 grams of yarn is like crazy for me personally. I think that's tough. That's tough. So anyways, however, because I have a ball and a half, I think it'd be really cute to do some kind of color work. There's a maroon one of these, there's a yellow one, there's even like, there's a green one. So I'll just have to, when I'm ready, look for some patterns that have a cute color work motif that I could use the gray as the contrast and then another color as the main body. I don't have any ideas, but I want to use this. There's like, you know, this is $17. I'm not gonna, I don't know, sell it. I want to use it. So, what else was I gonna say about this? Oh, the pattern. Okay, so I was looking specifically for a Henley style garment in more of like a unisex or masculine fit. That's what I preferred to wear, and also what my friend prefers to wear. I don't remember how much this pattern costs, but that's okay. In the pattern itself, it's more of like a shirt fit. I think it has like not very much positive ease. And the sleeves are tighter all the way down because it fits more like a long sleeve shirt than it does like a sweater. So I tried to knit the garment to be a men's extra large size. I did that just by comparing a sweatshirt that I have that's a men's extra large. I just tried to make it the same size as that. I don't really remember what size I actually ended up knitting in the pattern, but that's okay. So I just knit it with more positive ease, and it ended up being an oversized garment, as you can see in the pictures. So I followed things to pattern, whatever size I ended up knitting. I don't really remember. But I knit it, I followed the pattern to pattern. I'm not saying that right. Except for the sleeves. I did not want there to be so many decreases in the sleeves as there was in the pattern. So what did I do? I have it written down. Okay, I knit it on a size 4mm needle. I think I did size down to like a 3.5 for the ribbing. And there is a lot of ribbing because there's two button bands down halfway down the front, and then the collar, and then each sleeve, and then the hem. A lot of Italian bind off for irritating yarn to do Italian bind off in. Just saying. Okay, so on the sleeves, I decreased every 8 rows for 14 inches, and then I decreased every other row until I got to 56 stitches, and then I did ribbing. I made that up. I don't know why, you know what I mean? Like, I've never knit a sweater before. I knew I wanted it there to not be so many decreases. I just kind of made it up. And it worked. It didn't work the first time because, so it's like a slow decrease. And then once you get to about here, I was like, ooh, I have to get to a smaller number of stitches kind of rapidly. So all my decreases were happening under the arm, and then doing all my decreases rapidly did this like weird curve. So I had to undo that and try again by doing doing the same number of decreases, but splitting them to do half on the top and half on the bottom of the sleeve. So then it was like an even taper. And that looked a lot better. So that's what I did. And then I did the same thing for the other sleeve. And then I just used buttons that I had in stash. I have like a weird amount of buttons. I was obsessed with buttons as a child, and I color coordinated all of my buttons into this little, you know, those plastic. I'm looking at it, but I don't feel like getting it. So I have a lot of buttons. And then in this process of making this sweater, like a psychopath, I went through each color of the buttons and found the matches because I'm starting to knit garments. So I went through, found the matches, and then sewed a piece of thread through the matching buttons and tied a knot so that I wouldn't have to dig through the button container to find the matches of buttons. I did that for every single color. It took a couple days. That's like an ADHD hyperfixation to fix my buttons, even though they were color coordinated to begin with. It's come in handy already. I've already sewed buttons on 3 other things, so I'm glad I did it, but I don't know. I got a wild hair at my ass to do that. I don't know why. I love that February sweater. The Richie by, the name is just Richie, which I don't know why, but anyways. Richie by Atelier Emily. Incredible. Oversized, I love it. I love it so much. So I want to knit one for myself. I don't think I would use the same yarn to knit that. I think I would rather, if I'm going to do like, I'd rather knit this in something else that doesn't have so many button bands, so many Italian bind offs. I'm not doing that again. But I would like to knit myself a Richie sweater, but in a different yarn probably. But that's down the road. Okay, anyways, that was just a huge milestone and I'm so proud of it and I want to talk about it. So I'm really glad that I knit that sweater. It went really well. Okay, I only have one more finished object to talk about and then we can move into like whips, even though I'm kind of not doing this in the right order. In the same way that I have a vanilla beanie pattern, I have a vanilla baby cardigan pattern, which it's only vanilla. It's nothing I've done. It's only vanilla in the sense that I really like it and I keep knitting it. It's the Oh Baby cardigan. It might just be Oh Baby Cardi. by Roberta Rich on Ravelry. Free pattern. Fantastic. I think it comes in 3 sizes or something, but I keep knitting the newborn size. And I'm a little bit off gauge. I like to use 4.5mm needles, and I love this cotton from Hobby Lobby. That's my favorite pairing. It's it's a really soft cotton, and then parents don't have to worry about it felting. They can just wash it normally. I'm a little bit off gauge in that when I knit the newborn size with that yarn needle combo, it is a smidge bigger than newborn, but not quite like 3-month. And I just think it's really versatile that it'll be a little bit big on your newborn, but then they can wear it for a little bit longer. So I've knit 3 so far. 1 in October and then 2 this past month. Yeah, I knit a pink one, which I have a picture of. And then a green, like forest green one, which I don't think I have a picture of. Not sure. But for the green one, because I Love This Cotton doesn't actually have a great forest green option, I picked this Yarn Bee Easygoing in the color Willow, which is, what's the comp on this? 60% acrylic, 40% polyamide. Hated it. It's really soft, but it's so slippery. It's like really irritating to knit with. And I bought too much. Like, who do I think I am? This pattern uses less than 1 skein, which is less than 100 grams. So you only ever need a small amount of yarn for this. So I don't know why I bought 2. What am I going to do with this? I don't know. So I'm a little bit irritated about that, but that's fine. But I love this. People just keep having babies. I keep knitting them these cute little baby cardigans because they are so stinking cute. It's really easy. I always forget the construction, but it's really easy. I don't know. And it's free. It's a great pattern. Okay, let's move on to whips. So sorry. The first whip that I'm working on is a self-drafted poncho. It's psychotic. Picture in your brain raglan style increases, and it's scrappy. So I'm doing the like 2 color stripe, and it's basically a circle skirt, like a glorified circle skirt. And I'm just working on that. I need to add, it's over there. I don't feel like getting it. Plus it's like, what are you gonna, you know what I mean? I'll show you next time if I make progress on it. I need to add a collar. It's for my daughter. She's obsessed with poncho blankets. I need to add a collar and potentially a hood, though I'm not sure. She's requested a hood. I don't know about that, so we'll see. So I'm working on that in the background. It's just taking forever because it's huge and it's a little bit boring. I'm not gonna lie. So there's that. Another one of my whips, which I'm really excited about, is a scrappy sweater for myself. This is the Step by Step sweater by Florence Miller. The lore behind this is actually that I magic knotted a bunch of scrap yarn together a couple years ago and crocheted a sweater with it. Hated it, hated the feel, hated the fabric. It was like too bulky. And that's one of the things that really pushed me to learn how to knit, because I wanted handmade sweaters, but I didn't like crochet fabric, so I frogged it. So I frogged the crochet version, and now I am knitting a sweater in the same yarn. In the same way that I'm trial and erroring socks, I know that it'll also take some trial and error to figure out what sweater construction fits my body the best. So this is my first go at like a raglan. I think I'm gonna move on to sleeves from here. I'm not done with the body. It's not long enough, but I want to move on to sleeves. Also, when I crocheted this, it's made out of like different worsted acrylic yarns, just whatever I had in my stash. But when I crocheted it, I held that yarn double. So I've been having to like separate the cakes of yarn. Here's what one looks like after it's separated. So it's interesting. Obviously, when I was crocheting the sweater, I would like when I ran out of a yarn, you can pick your next yarn and make sure it kind of has a nice flow, but when you unravel it and then try to knit something, it turns out differently. So I can't control the colors now, and it's coming out interestingly. This is my first knit project for myself this year. I would really like to finish it here soon before the weather like completely turns and gets too hot to wear it. So I am working on this kind of a lot, and I really like it. Oh, the last thing I'll say for like whips, but it's more like for a future project. Oh, did I tell you what size needle I think I forgot to mention I'm knitting this. It's worsted acrylic and I'm knitting it in 5mm. I did the ribbing in 4.5, but the body is in 5. My last whip is this step-by-step sweater by Florence Miller. I finished this for my daughter for Christmas. It's made, I think it's on 8mm needles, made with a Karen Chunky Cake. It's the same kind of yarn that I made the birthday gift bag out of, but just in a different colorway. Because the yarn is so chunky, it's kind of a stiff fabric, and I just think it would work better as a cardigan, kind of like as a jacket cardigan, rather than as like a pullover sweater. Plus the collar comes up a little bit high for my daughter's liking. So I think anyways, I'm gonna steek this. I think it's acrylic. I really don't care. I've watched one video and I feel confident that I can steek it. I'm probably going to do the sewing method. I don't know. I think it'll be fine. The arms are bigger proportionally than the body of this sweater. Like it all fits, but the arms are kind of long, a little long. So I think I'll probably have to do like a 5-stitch steek. I might be able to get away with 3. But because it's not wool, I'll probably do 5 just to be safe. But it also is really bulky, so maybe I'll do 3. I don't know. But anyways, just because it's a bulky yarn, regardless of how many I do. I think I'm going to make kind of a chunky bucket. Chunky bucket. A chunky button band. So that, like, you know, I mean, I'm cutting 5 stitches, but then I'm going to add, I don't know, 7? Is that crazy? No, 7 is psychotic. See, this is what I mean, is I think I'd like the button band to be like 5 stitches, so then I would need the steek to be like 3 stitches. Anyways, I'm hoping just by it being a cardigan and adding another stitch or 2 because of the button band, that it'll fit a little bit more comfortably, and I'll get to use some fun one-off buttons that I have, because I would like to use medium to large sized buttons for this, because I do have hot pink and I have all these colors in like big buttons, and I just think that would be so fun to have. Like, I don't actually know what color I'm going to use for the button band. I think hot pink would be beautiful, but I have more of this yarn, so it's just kind of like whatever comes next. I also did think about, since this is acrylic, what if I picked like a worsted weight yarn? This is some type of bulky yarn. I did also think about picking like a hot pink or something worsted weight yarn and knitting the button band in that, thinner, obviously, kind of like how they do commercially. The only thing I don't love with that is that because it's a step-by-step sweater and it's knit top down, that all the cuffs weren't knit like that. So I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna like start and then see how it goes. But in any case, I'm steeking this sweater. I'm turning it into a cardigan. So I'm really excited about that. I finally got permission from her to do that, because at first she was like, no, cut it. And then I was like, I think it would fit really well. So whatever. Of course, it might fail. It's my first time steeking, but that's fine. I'll just knit her something else. I'm not really emotionally attached to this sweater in particular. I think it'll be fine. I think that's it. I think I'm forgetting to talk about something, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll briefly talk about acquisitions because it's random stuff. I always get very random acquisitions. Let me just say that. This is my first acquisition. It is a Clover 5mm 29-inch cable. I picked that randomly. The cable length doesn't really matter to me, but the 5mm matters because that poncho that I was telling you about is 5mm needles, and it's a pain in the butt to have like a long-term project taking up my 5mm needles. Thank God I have interchangeables, so it like wasn't too irritating, but I do use 5mm a lot, so I kept having to like retrieve them from that project, work on something else, finish that before I could put it back on. It was just a pain in the butt. So I bought a separate attached. I don't remember what it's called when they're not interchangeables, but anyways, I bought a 5mm needle specifically for the blanket project, or the poncho blanket project, so I wouldn't have to keep taking it out. So that's what these are for. I haven't even opened them yet because I haven't worked on that blanket poncho. But that's what these are for. I'm really excited. So I think that's going to be my living room project from now on. It has its own needles. It can live downstairs while I'm watching TV with my family or something. I can use these needles and just work on that poncho and just chip away at it because it's taking forever. These were $9.50 from my local yarn store. There you go. My other acquisition is a gift from my mother-in-law in this sick Lightning McQueen bag. That's an acquisition in and of itself. She got me this knitting book. It's called Gradient Knits. 10 lessons and projects using ombre, stranded colorwork, slip stitch, and texture. I'm excited. This book reminds me that I would really like to start a series on my channel where I like to gamify things. And I don't actually end up knitting very many projects from the books that I own. I have a lot of crochet books because I started as a crocheter, and I used those books a lot because I didn't know about Ravelry yet. So that was like my main source of patterns was the books. Anyways, but I thrift a lot, and so I accumulate a lot of knitting books, but I don't actually end up knitting anything from them. So I think it'd be fun to gamify it and do like a roulette type of situation where I spin for the book and then pick a pattern and then knit it. So I think that'd be fun. I have a lot of like older vintage books that I think it would be fun to actually knit something out of them. But this is cute. I love color work, and this is really good for scraps. And I'm a big scrappy knitter because one of my goals this year is to knit down my stash a little bit. Not because I have too much yarn necessarily. It comes more from a place of I can feel myself shifting into a different yarn preference, because I started out as a weaver, like a wall hanging kind of a weaver. So I have a lot of chunky yarn and like really thick yarn. And then I moved away from that into crochet. So I have a lot of acrylic worsted weight yarn. And now I'm moving into knitting. So I'm moving more into like thinner sock weight yarn and wool yarn, cotton, things like that. So my yarn preferences are changing. So I would really like to make an effort to use what I have to make room for my newer yarn preferences. I don't need it to be gone completely. That's not my expectation. I just would like to make a dent. And that also reminds me that there's another gamify thing I want to do on my channel of using up my stash yarn, like a stash roulette situation where I spin for the color because it's color coordinated, and then the yarn weight, and then the craft like knitting or crocheting, Potentially also wall hanging, but that's not as fun for me, so I'm not sure. But knitting or crocheting. And then finished object, spinning for the finished object, like garment or home decor or amigurumi or something like that. Tapestry. I haven't solidified all my ideas yet, but that way it'll force me and also just be a fun experiment. If I get green, chunky knitting tapestry, then I would have to do either color work or intarsia or something and try to make a chunky knitted color work wall hanging or something like that. I just think it would be a fun creative experiment and get me to use things that I normally wouldn't reach for. So that's something that hopefully is coming up on the channel to try to get me to use some of the stash. My last acquisition is 9 skeins of Premier Just Yarn worsted, 100% acrylic, 50 grams each, in the color Classic Blue. My sister-in-law recently had a baby shower. For reasons beyond me, 9 of these were purchased to do the belly measuring game. In any case, since I'm the yarn person in the family, it was gifted to me after. So the nice thing is that now I have a sweater's quantity worth of a yarn, which I don't have very much sweater's quantity of things. They're mostly all like one-offs. So that's nice. It is Classic Blue though, which is like not my color, but I'm a gift knitter, so it could be somebody else's color. Sweater's quantity, now that I'm realizing these are 50 grams, is probably an exaggeration. Maybe like my daughter's sweater's quantity, or like pairing this with something else. I do love those like 2-color scrappy, 2-color repeats situation. So it would be fun to like have this be a constant throughout the garment and then the other stripe changes. That would be fun. Anyways, now I have this. So that doesn't, it's just neutral. I'm neutral about this. It's nice to have so much of one the same color, same dye lot. At the same time, not helping. So there's that. So anyways, I'm totally neutral. I will use this. It's fine. It's Classic Blue, that's for sure. I actually might also knit another baby cardigan in this, because the other one for my sister-in-law for her baby that's due very soon, I made that in forest green. So it would kind of be cute actually to knit a baby cardigan in Classic Blue, the same yarn that was at her baby shower. That would be cute. Might do that. Who knows? Okay, I think that is everything. Sorry it was so long. I'm sure it is. I've been recording for over an hour. That's crazy. Today's a Monday. It would be nice to get in the habit of recording a podcast every Monday so I can record my progress more, because there's so much stuff I didn't even get to talk about. The cute little amigurumi dinosaurs I made for the baby shower, or the curtains that I made for my dad that he requested, or I did something else that was so random. Oh, this calling bird Christmas ornament that I made. I'm trying to make 1 Christmas ornament a month so that I have 12 by the end of the year. This is the only one I've done so far. So there's lots of crafts. There's lots of crafts all the time, and it would be fun to get to talk about them more. Also, this is my best acquisition, actually. I got this at a garage sale. I freaking love it. It's so cute. It's like camp themed. It's got like trees and tents and moose and a canoe and stuff. I'm obsessed with this. I got this, a cow print sweatshirt for my daughter, and a pair of jeans, which I haven't tried on yet because I'm a little bit scared. All for $10 total. Oh my God. So this is my best acquisition. I love this so much. So hopefully I do these more regularly so that I can chit chat about everything, because I'm a yapper, obviously. Let me know what you're working on. I would love to hear. If you're working on something as you're watching this, I would love to hear about it. you better believe that I was in people's comment section complaining about Italian bind off with this recycled yarn. Just saying. Also, let me know if you're more of a gift knitter or more of a self knitter. I don't really like the term selfish knitter. I find that strange. But if you prefer to knit for yourself or gift knit, I would love to knit more for myself. I just love to gift things to people. I don't know what my problem is. I'm working on it. Also, I'd like to get into sewing. All right, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching and letting me blab at you. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. All right, I gotta go now. Great, that was good.